Let me show one tweet. I want to get Seth's feedback here. Go to our friend Robert Reich, the motivational speaker, who said, do you know how much CEO pay has skyrocketed since 1987? 100%? 500%? Try 1,322%. This is unsustainable. Huh. I responded, it's a source of inspiration for kids to be a CEO one day. NBA's 1978 MVP Bill Walton made $100,000. Now Steph Curry makes $46 million a year. That's an increase of 46,000%. Is that unfair that people playing a game make more money than CEOs creating a job? I'm happy for both. You sound bitter towards CEOs. Yeah. FYI, you know how much the highest paid professor makes in America today? Do you know the number?
The highest paid?
Including book sales? Or
No. Just highest paid professor. What do you think he makes today? He or she makes today?
100 grand, man?
No, way more than that. I'm actually curious what you say.
No, they don't make a ton of money, man.
Give me the highest paid professor. How much they make today? I actually researched this yesterday.
I got to assume it's somebody that's teaching law at University of Harvard or something like that.
Dershowitz making $1 million a year?
400 grand.
Okay, that's a lot of money for a professor.
Yeah. For the highest paid.
Fauci makes 400 grand plus.
Yeah,
Professor Fauci.
Doctor.
So highest paid professor in America today. I want to pull this up. Highest paid professor. I don't know if I send you the link.
Robin DiAngelo, $50,000 an hour.
No. You're about to be shell shocked. The highest paid professor in America today. Pull it up. It's the first one right there. Go up there. David Silvers, folks. He makes, ready? $4.33 million a year.
What?
Professor. Clinical professor at dermatology and pathology, $4.3 million. Zev Rosenwax makes $3.3 million. Professor. These poor professors are broke.
Yeah, but are they getting paid? Are they getting paid by the school that amount, or they're making that in their career and then they happen to be a professor on the side?
They're making that as a professor.
The school's paying them that?
Keep going down.
These are private universities, at least. That's,
okay, William, 1.9 million, 1.19 million.
Harvard.
Anyways, so the point is, should we not pay these professors? I don't care if they're making that kind of money. Totally fine with that. Yeah. They never go after NBA players for the amount of money they're making. Hell, what's his name? Mahomes just got a $500 million contract, and he bought the Royals as a 22-year-old player.
Yeah.
So, this whole thing with Robert Reich going after business owners, what are your thoughts on this, with his position on CEOs having their salaries increased by 1,300%?
Well, I mean, I think you nailed it. Bitterness, right? He sounds bitter towards them, resentful. First of all, I'd be interested in knowing when he's talking about the pay increasing. A lot of this is CEOs oftentimes have equity, right? And their value, their net worth goes up.
Yeah.
A lot more than their pay. This was one of the topics we were getting into with Elon Musk a little bit. He was like, people are acting like I don't pay enough in taxes because I'm this, I have hundreds of billions of dollars and I'm not paying enough in taxes. He's like, my value is in my Tesla stock. Investors decided that Tesla is $1 trillion company, and I own 20% of that company, which means I'm worth $200 billion. And that doesn't mean I haven't realized those gains, so I'm not going to pay taxes on that money.
And the second he starts selling it off, it goes down, so it's not even real.
And it may go down. The value of Tesla may go way down next year, and then his net worth goes way down. But those things come and go. But he took the risk of building that company, almost went bankrupt at certain points. But yeah, I mean, CEOs take a lot of risk. If they're providing value that results in that kind of pay, then that's good for them. And people should be inspired to try to get to those roles, those positions, rather than saying, you know what, you make more than me. That's wrong. We should make the same amount. That kind of that's when people start thinking
that the employee should make as much as the CEO.
Anybody
we work with hundreds and hundreds of people. I've never heard anybody here in this building or in any other company I work for that say,
what is the word?
You know what? I should make as much as Pat.
You should hang out with some more socialists.
Do you remember that company?
Maybe in the corners of Brooklyn, but I don't know anybody in the real world that actually thinks that the underwriter should make as much as the CEO.
Who was the guy?
It's never happened.
When was the last time you were in Los Angeles?
Who was the guy that was a CEO and he was making like a couple million or $5 million a year?
Price.
I had him
on. I had him on as a guest.
Yeah. He decided
gave everybody
$70K, right? Including himself, right? They all got paid the same. Like, does that make? How did that work out for him? How did that work out for him?
You know what I asked him when I interviewed him?
What?
I said, let me ask you a question. You think everybody should be paid the same? I do. I said, who owns your company? He says, I do. I said, wow, you own 100%. I own 100% of the company. Wow, your company does a lot. So you're worth about $100 million. I am. I said, how many employees you got? He said 100. I said, I think you should follow your philosophy and give everybody 1% of equity.
Right, share
if
it.
you really
Share it.
are about, and you should have seen, if you've never seen this interview, you got to watch that reaction. He was so upset with me when I asked that question. I said, it's equity.
Yeah.
If you really want to follow that philosophy, follow it all the way through.
Right.
He says, I'm going to think about it. I'm like, okay, cool.
Salary, dude,
Yeah.
equity matters so much more than
I
salary.
agree.
Equity is the fastest way to wealth creation. In a business that's growing, you hold equity in that business. That's how you create wealth, not by trying to incrementally increase your salary over and over and over again. So, CEOs that get there, that figure that out, they deserve that money.
Yeah, and with millions of sleepless nights, missing a lot of parties. By the way, that stat, the whole 1,322, I'm going to look it up because yesterday Ruslan sent me a text saying, I don't know if you saw that, he sent a message saying, is this calculated based on this? I said, just go read this link. Here's how they came up with that formula. The formula that everybody keeps talking about, CEOs were paid 350 times more than employees, all this other stuff, go all the way down. What do you think was the average CEO of a top 350 firms in America in 1978? Gerard, what do you think is the average salary of a top 350 firms?
In today's equivalency, or?
No, in that time. Not inflation, just pure. What was their salary?
1978?
1978, what was their salary?
Well, I mean, who?
Top
average
350
CEO
firms.
78, Reggie Jackson was the first $1 million player, right? Is that true? So let's say 500,000.
Okay, cool. Go down. By the way, this is the average
Less
of
than
top.
that.
Less than that, right? You're right. It's less than that. Now watch this. I looked at this. I'm like, there's no way. Keep going down. Keep going. You'll see it. It's a chart right there. The average salary of a CEO realized compensation was $1.7 million in 1978.
What?
Exactly. Okay. And today it's $24 million. So they're upset, but they forget that in 1978 they were making $1.7 million.
Tyler, what's
than that?
Tyler, what's $1.7 million in 1978 dollars today? What's the equivalency?
What's $1.7 million in 1978?
These conversations to me, man, are like they're just so like distasteful.
But
too.
but
It's
here's
like,
the part, though, Gerard. If it's
cares
not
what somebody else is making?
if it's not
Right.
unpacked, it sounds like what a. Are you
Of course.
kidding me?
Of course.
These guys shouldn't be paid this kind of money.
This is what they do. This is the
But
manipulation.
let's find out here. Go 1.78 million. Is that million or billion? I think
We
you
just
put
did a
billion.
billion,
Put
yeah.
1 0, which is fine. Yeah.
7.6.
Okay. Yeah. So it's what? 3 times more.
Yeah.
3 times more than the average inflation rate of 3.36. Okay. Yeah. And they've created more value, bigger company, more
Sure.
employees, they get paid more.
That's the idea. You build, you win. I mean, winners are supposed to win. I mean, that's the idea, man. Like,
So then the formula is really, they should say, it's increased 3 times more,
Yes.
adjusted to inflation.
So
but
that-
they'll
Right.
never say
They don't
this.
that's how you
Still.
lie with money. So just like our great emperor Joe
Oh, my
Biden said,
gosh.
the media needs to do more to stop disinformation.
Well, and this is what creates the resentment that leads people to thinking they're working in a toxic workplace, right? Like they don't have to say everybody should be paid the same.
Yeah.
They just have to say they shouldn't be paid anywhere
That's
near as
right.
much as they're being paid,
That's right.
and then they can get everybody else to resent
And
them.
they-
That's right.
except
And then they
somehow make
feel the
it-
pressure to have to readjust how their company's structured to try to make everybody happy.
But Seth, they somehow make it like that money should have been your money. Like that money created was somehow supposed to be somebody else's money. Everybody looks at it like it's a big slice of pizza. And if this guy has 2 slices, that's 1 less slice for you. It's not. It's air in the balloon. If anybody wants to do a fun little thing, draw a little square in a balloon and blow air in it. And as the whole balloon gets bigger, watch that square get bigger too. That square is yours. So when the economy grows, your square grows with it. It's not somebody else's
What a
slice
great
that's being
visual.
eaten.
What a
So,
great
I mean,
visual. Sauce Talks Money visual, by the way. right
Sauce
there.
Talks
Thank you. We'll take
money,
care of
bro.
that.
Okay, so
let me
let's
say
cha-
one thing about employees.
You're the
though.
last person, and we're changing
Okay, let me just say
topics.
one
Go
thing
ahead.
about employees. So, because obviously we've covered a lot of what CEOs
Yeah.
thinks. We have 2. I assume you're CEO of your company,
Yeah.
founder,
He is.
CEO. A phrase that gets used or doesn't get used enough, I think, is the Great Reset. Everyone's talking the Great Resignation. Everyone's resigning. No, these people are following else. I mean, unless they're just sitting home collecting unemployment, which I don't know how many people are still continuing to do that. If they are, loserville. But I think a lot of people really are just. It's the Great Reset. Basically, what COVID did is a lot of people had to sit home for whether it was 3, 6, 9, 12 months and say, is this really what I want to be doing with my life? Am I working in hospitality? Do I actually want to do this or do I want to pursue something else? So a lot of people have taken this time to say, let me reassess really, and you've touched on this, is this giving me meaning and purpose in my life? And a lot of people have just changed careers. I think 50% of workers are thinking about changing an actual career. So I know we're talking about a lot of CEO and CEO pay and a great resignation, but these people need to fall somewhere else. There's always going to be losers out there that have no purpose or drive or willpower that want to do something with their life, and they're just going to take the government checks and the stimulus and take the unemployment and just leech off the government as much as they can. But a lot of people are saying, you know what? I was working in hospitality. You know, there's a difference. You talk about this all the time. There's a difference between having a job and having a career. So all this great reshuffle, if you know, if maybe that's a different term, is people saying, you know what? I'm not finding fulfillment and finding joy in this. Let me find something I can do long term. That should be your goal.
So what percentage is that? Because the flip side of that is the following, which you have to be very careful with. So this one guy posted something the other day, freaking ridiculous thing he posted the other day. Cindy Cobo sent it to me. I want to give this guy a shout out. It was such a freaking emotional thing to read. Cindy, you send it to me. Let me see. Hang on one second, guys. I promise you this story is worth you reading. I'm going to send this to you. It's by Sean Whalen. I don't know if you follow Sean Whalen or not.
Yeah, lions, not sheep.
Is that what it is? I actually don't follow him.
That guy actually owes me $10,000 because we bet that the guy with the beard and the tattoos. Yeah, we bet much like how we had a bet who would win the presidential election of 2020.
But you got the money here.
I did. You paid me. Sean Whalen's ducking me.
Pull up what I just sent you and put it up. So this guy posts a story, and I think it has a lot to do with what you're saying, and people have to be very careful because a lot of people can listen to what you just said and said, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. But the reality is you just quit when shit got tough. Let me show this to you on what he put as a father with his son. So incredible, incredible story. So can you make that bigger? So that's him and his son, okay? That picture itself is so emotional when you just look at that kid. Look at that kid right there. Mm-hmm. All right, so I love being a dad more than I'll ever be able to orate. This is my son after a bloody war of a wrestling match tonight. Real talk, he's been hating wrestling this year. He's 15 and in his head about a lot of stuff, trying to figure out a lot of things, and he flat out didn't want to wrestle. I told him he didn't have to wrestle, but he had to get a full-time job instead by a certain date, and he didn't. So as a man of his word, he wrestled. It's been a mental battle for him. I've been watching him and working to be a supportive but encouraging dad to hold space for him, but to push him. This morning, he got pinned, and I could feel his frustration. I could see it in his energy. He was mad and dejected. So after his match, we had a chat. I told him, as I've told him many times, that it's in the deep water a man is forged. It's in the pain that the strength is found, and it's only the hottest fires that makes the strongest weapons. I told him earlier today that inside of him was a savage, a literal raging lunatic, and that's who needed to show up in the next match. I told him to imagine that this match determined if his family literally lived or died. I had him close his eyes and visualize winning to visualize his savage inside of him. Right before he got on the mat tonight, I grabbed his face and told him, I love you, now go be violent. He went 3 rounds, bloodied his opponent, and came off the mat with the victory and blood pouring out of his mouth. I was emotional. I was choked up because I saw the savage. I saw the man who overcame the frustration and fear, and the man who will walk into life and not succumb to mediocrity and pain. Life is not fair. Life isn't easy. Life wants to kill you and beat you down at every turn. And tonight I saw my son dig into the place in your soul that most humans run from and avoid. I saw in his eyes the savage gladiator who will find peace in the storm and who won't run from fear or pain. I love my children. I love them deeply. When they are woven in my heart, and I ask God every day to give me strength and insight to lead them. Tonight was a special experience. I will never forget. I pray he never forgets this. This is emotional. So to me, Adam, as much as I want to sit there and agree with you, I hate to say this to you. A lot of people call me when they're going through that mode, and you know what they're simply doing? Things are hard, and they're quitting. If you quit because things are hard, and it's really you're in the heat of the moment, you ain't making a career change. You're going to go to another job or company, and shit's going to get hard there as well, and then you're going to quit again. It's like relationship. Marriage is hard. Relationship is the hardest thing you'll ever do. What are you going to do? Go find somebody else, and it's going to get hard again and hard again and hard again. For 10 to 20% of people that make sense that are going through that, I totally get it. For the other 80% that are selective hearing, they're looking for, I saw a sign on a billboard that told me change careers. Yeah, we can look for many reasons to get, a lot of different things that leave behind. People have to be very careful on messaging. Again, I may be wrong, but I'm telling you, I saw something like this. I would much rather teach my kid to say, by the way, good for him as a dad to say, you're either going to get a job or you're going to quit wrestling. You're going to do one of those or keep doing wrestling. Anyways, maybe wrong. It is what it is. I admire a man like this. I just wanted to give him props. Thank you for inspiring me to share the story, or else I would have forgotten.
Well, let me
it.
just say,
Yeah.
I've been at the same job for 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's the financial industry. You know what happened
It
in
ain't
2008.
easy, bro,
you
though.
think I had you think it was
Then
been
give
an uphill
that message.
trajectory?
But give that message,
Okay.
bro. No, what I'm saying to you is inject that philosophy in
That's
people.
fine.
Dude, you're a millionaire because you didn't quit last 15 years.
I agree.
Yeah, you're a freaking stud. How many freaking times could you have been distracted and done something
I
else?
agree. However, if I hated my job 2 years in and I didn't want to stay there, I would have found something else that I would have crushed.
Let me get this straight. Tell me you wake up every morning saying, I can't wait to do another life settlement
Not
deal.
even a little bit.
Okay, then.
Right, exactly.
But how come you haven't quit?
Because now the money's too good at this
No,
point.
but how many years into it did you start making money?
A couple years in. It took
Okay,
me a couple years in. And
that's-
then there was a dip after the recession, and then I had to build my way back up.
And you were in an industry
Exactly.
that had a lot of,
and a
challenges.
lot of people. Let me just sing to
Yeah.
your praises here. Everyone was basically trying to get into the mortgage industry in 2006,
remember.
2007,
Yeah.
2008. And then everyone in the mortgage industry tried to get into the financial services industry. And to look how the tables have turned. Everyone is getting out of the financial services industry, trying to get into the mortgage industry. It's just, everyone wants to follow a hot topic, hot trend. I get it. But this goes back to my initial point. Yes, things will get tough. You got to stick it out. It's not always fun. It's not always sexy. But you need to find a career. And ultimately what I'm saying is if you're not happy in your job, and you just need to take that reset or, resignation, whatever, but find your career, more power to you, bro. But yes, like this guy, like
Just
the wrestler,
don't do it because it's
not
tough.
going to be easy.
And you're
Whatever,
having
I
lonely
think
nights.
everybody knows,
Yeah.
whatever career path you take, it's going to be fucking tough. How long have you been doing the writing business?
I've been at the helm of the bee since 2018.
Okay, but saying, when did you start your writing career?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur since 2012.
Okay, so
Yeah.
at any point, did you feel like quitting or just, this is not for me?
Yeah, I mean it's hard work. I don't get to take days off. It bleeds into my vacation time, my family time. It's very difficult. It's strenuous, and there's also obviously all the risk that comes along with it. Not every business succeeds. I've had my share of failures, investments that failed or startups that failed. So yeah, it's hard. You got to pick yourself back up and continue to just push forward and believe in yourself that you can get there if you continue to go instead of quitting, right? The minute you resign yourself to just thinking I'm going to take the easy road, well, it may be easier, sure, but it's certainly not going to be as lucrative or as fulfilling in the end. Because you didn't go out there and accomplish as much. I mean, all these things that the challenges, or what in the perseverance through it is what builds character. It's the same thing. Like you never have an opportunity to have any courage unless you're in danger, right? Like these kinds of things. The positives come in response to the negatives, and that's how you sharpen a blade is with that friction, right?
Look at his eyes, by the way. Look at his eyes. Honestly, look at his eyes. For me, eyes tell a story. You know what those eyes tell you? You said you have an 8 and a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, those eyes are like. You think I want to be by the business or my kids, dog? Like, what do you want me to tell? It's a pain of a person. That part needs to be given more.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.